From Hollywood. Welcome to the Rat's Ass Podcast with Mojo Elliott.
Thank God it's Friday!
Oh, we do love our finally Fridays around here. From the Mojo Studio on Sunset and Vine, prepare yourselves to be taken on another action-packed adventure, whether you like it or not.
Let's do it.
All right, here's what's on tap on the Wrap. The Room has been read, and the results are in. Who's ready for a big old glass of booty juice? And what about the other Jimmy? That is a tasty burger, but where from? Stick around and find out. And I've got to tell about two childhood friends who lost touch with each other, but ran into each other years later at an award show. And what happened next will bring tears to your eyes. Another round of head trauma is on the way. Get ready to try your luck with the movie mashup, plus our usual lunacy and loose behavior, including the Friday Fuggin' Funny. That's what's happening today on the Rat's Ass Podcast for Friday, September the 19th already. All right, let's get you ready for the weekend on Rat's Ass Rock TV. Our Best Of series continues with the Bad Boys Motley Crue. You get to see their 12 top rock videos of all time, as voted by Crue fans. You can connect on our hub at ratsasspodcast.com. Click on the YouTube icon, go to playlist, and you're rocking. Rat's Ass Rock TV. One channel is all you need if you like to rock out with junk out. All right, let's get into the Wrap today. As I mentioned on the last podcast, there comes a time when a guy like me needs to read the room and determine what's acceptable and what is not acceptable content-wise. Now, over the past year, I fully admit, I'm aware, that we've created the perception the Rat's Ass Podcast offers one-way political thinking in favor of the right. I get it. I've heard it from you guys. But this is because I strongly disagree with the Democrats, constantly creating chaos and blaming the right for what they're guilty of doing. And they do this because it's the only way they can win elections, to whip people up emotionally. As we've seen, they offer no ideas, no solutions to problems that they created. They manipulate people, and quite frankly, it ticks me off. Now, there are a lot of things the Republicans and Donald Trump do that tick me off too, and I am guilty of giving them a free pass, but no more. You know, perceptions are a real bitch to change, but God bless it, I got to try here. The Johnny Carson rules that I played for you the other day for late night brought me back to a time when all politicians were treated as a joke, and most of them are. You know, it's amazing how we elect one Nimrod after another, regardless of party, over and over again. How do you explain Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell? Fair and balanced. How do you explain those two being in government almost their entire lives? It's not supposed to be that way. But what I'm going to attempt to do is keep this podcast more fair and balanced and focused on finding the funny. You know, comedy and fun and enjoying ourselves and escape, that's what the Rat's Ass Podcast was originally about, because we don't give a rat's ass. I will save my political opinions for when I'm answering your questions or comments directly in email. Will I slip up and make mistakes? Oh, I guarantee it. But at the end of the day, I want this Rat's Ass Podcast thing to be more fun and uplifting and keeping you informed. That's what it's all about. Did you happen to see, or remember this? Let's go back. Did you happen to remember when Joe Biden said this about Pete Buttigieg?
Secretary Buttigieg.
Secretary Buttigieg. Hear it again.
Secretary Buttigieg.
Secretary Buttigieg. You hear it, right? Well, apparently Kamala Harris was going to pick Pete to be her running mate, but settled on Tim Walz. It's going to come out in her new book. Now, I think it was because Biden had labeled Pete as
Secretary Buttigieg.
Secretary Buttigieg. Can you imagine the field day Trump would have had with that one? He would have had T-shirts, hats, and probably even created a booty juice drink that he'd sell on his website. He would have been relentless. You'd go to a UFC fight and hear vendors screaming, "Booty juice! Get your ice-cold booty juice here!" So Harris had to choose Tampon Tim over
Secretary Buttigieg.
Secretary Buttigieg.
Secretary Buttigieg.
But you hear that, right? I remember when Biden said that, he actually smiled. I think he caught himself when he did it. But anyway, President Trump and Melania returned from the UK last night, and sources say the First Lady was feeling a little frisky. Yeah, she was feeling up for some 79 from 47, if you know what I'm saying. And she walked in on the Donald wearing a very sexy see-through negligee and said, "What do you think of these, big boy?" And Donald said, not tonight, honey. If you don't mind, I'd like to get a nice warm glass of booty juice and go to bed.
Oh, you're going straight to hell for that one.
That was fair and balanced, right? You know what? I'm not going to use the words bullshit anymore on this podcast. It just doesn't make sense. If I'm cleaning it up, I got to clean it up. From now on, we're just going to call it booty juice, as in, booty juice, or what a load of booty juice that was. Who knows? Maybe it'll catch on. All right, you've probably noticed the last man standing in the late night wars is Jimmy Fallon of The Tonight Show. And you're probably wondering, why him? Well, here's why him. You know, Colbert and Kimmel started out as late-night comedians. That's how they were sold to you, but they morphed into political commentators. Their monologues were all about Trump this and Trump that. If you watched, you know this. Jimmy, on the other hand, made jokes about Trump, and it was mixed with other content, other bits. He didn't offer an opinion. He did punchlines only. He did them for Joe Biden, too, but not as often. They really focused on hitting Trump, but they tried to balance it out a little bit or make you think it was balanced, but he stayed in the comedic lane. Now, there's also the fact that Tonight Show is an institution. It was the first one. It was Johnny Carson's spot. So I don't believe NBC would ever give it up, especially now. They might change host at some point. It was Leno's before it was Fallon's, but I'm sure since he has no more late-night competition, directly, I'm sure Fallon's going to have to work on a smaller budget. For example, the Roots might become the Root. They can Higgins because they'll have AI to introduce Jimmy. So that could be coming. But I want to read something to you that I wrote on X this morning. This is how I promote X. If you want to come and follow, you can. But I wrote this morning because, and it's going to bore the hell out of you because it's about business. Okay? We got to have somebody with a clean head here, a clear head, and that's going to be me on this because of my media background. Here's what I wrote, and I'm just going to read it to you because it's Friday and I'm too lazy to just kind of sit here and explain it to you. All political posturing aside, here's what most likely happened in regard to one James Blackface Kimmel. Here's the ugly baby in the room nobody wants to talk about because you can't score political points with it. There are only so many ad dollars to go around. Look at how fragmented media has become. Old media like network TV, terrestrial radio, and print media has been losing audience for years. Ad buyers go where the audience is, where the ears and the eyes are. As ad dollars dwindle, networks are going to pour their money into their top-rated shows during their highest-rated hours. This is Monday through Friday for TV, 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. Late-night TV has become a liability that can be a budget cut. I had to make similar choices over the years running radio stations. I was forced to focus on investing our dollars into the highest-rated day parts, Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. Outside of these time slots, we automated and syndicated. Now, if you remember this, Jimmy, a few months ago, said that when his contract was up in May of 2026, chances were he wasn't going to renew his contract. Do you remember this conversation that he had with the viewers at that time? It was in the press. Now, the Sinclair affiliates, whose audience complained about Kimmel's comments about Kirk, it threatened their revenue. So they cut ties with the show. It's all about money here, folks. It's not about political, freedom of speech, all of this stuff that's being politicized. If you really want to be pissed at anybody, you got to be pissed at Disney and ABC. They're getting a free pass on this. They're like, hey, we can do this, and the politicians will fight it out, and we'll get away with it. They're not backing Kimmel. They could have. Sinclair isn't the only affiliates that they had at night. They had plenty of more affiliates. They're just taking this opportunity to speed up Kimmel's exit. Period. There you have it. Hey, who doesn't love a tasty burger? In fact, yesterday was National Cheeseburger Day, and every year on National Cheeseburger Day, the top 5 fast food burgers are released. And since we weren't here yesterday, well, we kind of missed out. So that's why we're talking about it today. Because who doesn't love a tasty burger? Here are the top 5. Are you ready? Let's see if you've had one of these. Because 4 of them, I haven't. And maybe you've tried. Maybe there's none located by you like me. But number 5, McDonald's Quarter Pounder with cheese. Oh, golly. I used to live on these damn things. Probably why I'm a type 2 diabetic right now, because it was always Quarter Pounder with cheese, fries, and a shake. And an apple pie. God, those were good. Number 4, our burger from Wahlburgers. We don't have one of those in California. He probably doesn't want to pay $20 an hour. That's I think it's Mark Wahlberg and his brother have that restaurant. Number 3, Five Guys cheeseburger. We have one of those here, but not close by. It's about 20 miles away. Number 2, Shake Shack's Shack Burger. Number 2 on the list. We have one about 3 miles away. I've never been. Maybe today's the day. And number 1, what do you think is number 1? It is Culver's Butter Burger. I couldn't do it. Too close to Butt Hair Burger. Couldn't do it. Now, to me, the best burger is the In-N-Out Double with cheese.
This is a tasty burger.
Now, I found this guy on social media who calls himself Kicking Harold. Now, I think it was the name of a band he was or is in. But the dude tells some great stories about rock music.
Secretary Buttigieg.
A future rock star met a new friend in kindergarten. He had no idea that one day they would have a hit song together. Way back in the late 1950s, 2 kids walked into a grade school. And for 6 years, these 2 boys were in the same class together, from kindergarten all the way to 6th grade. After this, as many kids do, they lost touch. But many years later, they were at an award show, and backstage, they ran into each other. They were both there because one had become a musician and the other had become a comedian and an actor. They both were super happy to reconnect, and not too long after, the musician got a call from the actor. The comedian asked his friend if he'd be interested in singing on a song he was going to record for a comedy duo that he was in. So the 2 childhood friends got together in a recording studio, made up some silly lyrics, and the whole thing was done in short order. Rick Moranis and Geddy Lee were both shocked at how big the silly song became.
What a story.
He used to score a lot, but now he only scores a little.
Boy, that's the truth.
Here is Mojo Elliott with Rat Sports.
All right, Buffalo took on a pesky Miami Dolphin team and eked out a 31-21 win to go 3-0. The Dolphins are now 0-3, so the meter is now running on head coach Mike McDaniel of the Dolphins, who received the kiss of death from the owner, Stephen M. Ross, when he said he has no intentions of firing McDaniels. And what this means is interviews are underway, but they haven't decided on a replacement yet. All right, who knew the WNBA playoffs were underway? I honestly stopped paying attention to the WNBA. But Indiana, minus Caitlin Clark, advanced to the semifinals after taking out 3-seed Atlanta 87-85 last night. Las Vegas Aces advanced by edging out Seattle 74-73. Close games here. The Aces will meet the Fever on Sunday for Game 1, so it's possible the Indiana Fever could end up in the WNBA playoffs. I got to work on that. I had it down. Now I'm way off. WNBA. The WNBA. There you go. That's a little better. WNBA playoffs. WNBA finals without Caitlin Clark, if they can eliminate the Aces. All right, we're down to the last 10 days of Major League Baseball season. Last night, Max Fried of the Yankees won his 18th game of the season and posted 13 strikeouts in New York's 7-0 win over Baltimore. And my Cincinnati Reds are hanging in there. They remain 2 games out of the wild card after Hunter Green pitched a gem last night, a one-hit shutout of the Chicago Cubs. Did I say shout out? It was a shutout of the Cubs. But you know, the way my luck goes, watch the Reds miss the playoffs by 1 game, and then I'll kick the bucket. All right, checking the chat box at ratsasspodcast.com. David Greer, Seattle, Washington, said, I want to thank you for last week's Pick 4 money games. I want a hefty sum of cash. Well, good for you, David. Man, that's what it's all about, helping you guys win some money. Hopefully I can build up that trust. All right, my question is, where do you see the Seahawks finishing this season? Okay, well, the NFC tight race. You got the 49ers, you get the Rams, Cardinals, and Seahawks. That's a hell of a race. That's a hell of a division. But I did predict it would be the Rams, Cardinals, 49ers, and Seahawks, finishing 1 through 4. I'm just not sure Sam Darnold is that guy yet. You know, he's the newest quarterback of the 4 in a division playing for a new team, and that usually takes a couple of years to take hold. So that's why I picked him in that order. Marv McCain from Fort Worth, Texas said, I saw where you picked Dallas to finish 3rd in the NFC East. Why? Well, Philadelphia's far better team than Dallas is. They're going to win the division. And I think Washington with Jaden Daniels, if he's healthy, are a better team than Dallas. I mean, Dak's getting up there. He's 32 now. And the Dallas D isn't as good as it was without Parsons. So that's why I picked that way. And that is sports today on The Wrap.
Rat's Ass Podcast. Head trauma.
All All right, the name of the game today is the movie mashup. The movie mashup. The movie mashup. I'm going to play 3 clips from 3 different movies, and you have to name all 3 movies. All right, listen close. I'll play the clips a couple of times for you. Here's round 1.
Calvin Klein? It's written all over your underwear.
You have much more hair on your nose than my dad.
You see my baseball?
All right, listen close again.
Calvin Klein? It's written all over your underwear.
You have much more hair on your nose than my dad.
You see my baseball?
All right, take a while, think about it, and we'll get back to you with the answers here on the podcast.
It's time for some loose behavior on the Rat's Ass Podcast.
It is finally Friday, and time for the Friday Thuggin' Funny. Did you know women love to get married? But not for the reasons you think. Here's Whitney Cummings to lay it out for you.
Marriage is set up for girls as an offer that you just cannot refuse. You know, if someone came up to me on the street randomly and marriage as an institution did not exist, and someone was just like, "Excuse me, ma'am, hi, would you be interested in a beautiful diamond ring and a bunch of parties where your friends will buy you whatever the fuck you want? And then you get to move into somebody else's house and get on their health insurance plan. And then if they cheat on you, you get half their shit, no questions asked. Would you be interested in that?" "Yeah, man. Yeah. How do I get all that shit?" "Well, you just have to have sex with the same man for the rest of your life." Oh. You know what? Fuck it. I have Tylenol PM. Let's do this shit. Where do I sign
Hey,
up?
heads up. Here comes your celebrity cheese.
All right, Austin Butler, star of Caught Stealing, is buying Brad Pitt's L.A. home for only $5.2 million. Now, this is the same home that was recently ransacked by burglars. I'm thinking, Jesus, have you seen this house? Only $5.2 million? I think we just caught Butler stealing again. Did you hear snooze singer Adele is being considered for the Super Bowl halftime show next February in San Francisco? Yep, Adele. Oh, she'll put you to sleep. It's like a lullaby. And you know, here I thought Bette Midler would be a shoo-in in San Francisco. All right, Gwyneth Paltrow is being celebrated for putting her 52-year-old face without makeup on Instagram, showing all of her natural lines. But men are not impressed. We want to see those saggy boobs, too. 67-year-old 80s pop goddess Madonna is taking racy photos and posting them on Instagram again. God. Is Instagram like an X-rated porno social media site now? But you know what? I wish the paparazzi here in L.A. would stop asking Madonna to play her hits, because I think she's hearing, "Show us your tits." That's what I think I think that's what she's hearing. She's getting up there a little bit. Ear might be a little screwed up there a little bit. And let's hope this weekend Britney Spears finally finds a man. But until then, Britney is
Rat's
now...
Ass Podcast. Email from our Gmail.
You're jumping the gun, Fleabag. Britney has now been single for 212 days.
Who gives a rat's ass?
Now hit it.
Rat's Ass Podcast. Email from our Gmail.
Oh, it is finally Friday, that's for sure. As you know, I do not read your email in advance. My producer, Fleabag, forwards me your name, where you're from, rewrites them so I can read them rapid fire and on the fly. And no topic is ever off the table. All right, Mark Q from Boulder, Colorado said, "Are you going to share what you learned at that How to Spot a Liberal Woman Without Colored Hair, Black Rimmed Glasses, and Bone in Their Nose that you went to?" Sure, I'll share it with you. You know, if you're out and you run into a woman that's not wearing makeup, wearing baggy sweatpants, has a tramp stamp, there's a damn good chance she's a liberal woman. All right, Jim H., Salt Lake City, Utah, said, "I've only lived in Salt Lake City for a year, and the people here are very different. I'm not shocked. Kirk's killer was from here. You mentioned you had ties to St. George, where Tyler Robinson is from. What is your take on people from St. George?" Well, Robinson was actually from Washington, Utah, which is about 5 miles away, close enough, I guess, to St. George. But I did. I consulted radio stations there from 2008 to 2022. So I'm assuming you're asking about the Mormons. Everybody's afraid to ask about the Mormons. You shouldn't be afraid of the Mormons. They were actually some of the funnest people I ever worked with. Absolutely fun to work with. They had a commitment to community that was second to none. Their work ethic was tremendous. And their sense of humor, outrageous. outrageous. I enjoyed my time working with them immensely. Shout out to Mikey and the Missus, too, while I'm at it. Mindy K., Hattiesburg, Mississippi, said, my husband is a drunk. My husband is a drunk, and I want to ditch the son of a bitch, but I love him. He's tried to beat the drink, but always returns to the bottle. Is there anything you've heard of that might sober him up? Well, I guess you're assuming because I drink Firebird here on the podcast, which, since you brought it up, certainly there's nothing wrong with a little Fireball on our time, right? Then I've probably been down this road myself, and since it's California, God, we got rehab centers on every corner. But that's way out of my pay grade, Mindy. I do believe, though, if someone is dealing with an addiction of any kind, they first have to recognize they have a problem, and they have to really want to fix it first, or anything you do isn't going to make a difference. That's been my experience. So I would seriously start with your local AA or look into some rehab centers. Ernie B., Findlay, Ohio, said, I've been watching your Governor Gavin Newsom try to associate himself with Charlie Kirk, but I'm not buying it. What is his deal? Newsom started a podcast that failed, but he had Charlie on as a guest, so I'm assuming Newsom thinks they're best buddies. Because if Newsom thinks he can score some political points, he'll use them. Gavin Newsom is a user and a capital J Jagoff. And once he sees using Charlie Kirk's name isn't getting him anywhere, you'll never hear him mention Charlie's name again. That's what's going on. All right, here's today's Kiss Me, Kill Me email. This is where you tell me what you like and dislike about the Rat's Ass podcast. Brenda Kemper from Lynchburg, Virginia. She likes that I don't always agree with your political views, but you have made me rethink some of my stances, and I have removed the bone, as you call it, from my nose. I hope you're breathing better, Brenda. All right, she said, I can't stand that smug guy you call the cool conservative. He's a pompous ass. Well, Brent, I'll take that under advisement as I revamp the Rat's Ass podcast into being more fair and balanced. All right, if you have any questions, observations, or comments, send them to my producer, Fleabag, at ratsasspodcast@gmail.com. The more outrageous and salacious, the better. And by the way, I got to fill you in on this. You know, Fleabag's a tall guy. He's a good-looking young man. And when he grows a beard, he looks like Jesus. And over Christmas, he plays Jesus in an annual play at his church. And he's starting to grow his beard in. So from now on, for the next few weeks, we're going to call him Fleezus. All right? But that's the way we do it here on the Rat's Ass Podcast.
Rat's Ass Podcast. Head trauma.
All right, let's pay off the movie mashup. I played 3 clips from 3 different movies for you. Listen to them again.
Calvin Klein? It's written all over your underwear.
You have much more hair on your nose than my dad.
You see my baseball?
All right, did you figure it out? If you said Back to the Future, Uncle Buck, and there's something about Mary.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, you got it right. Congratulations. But if you missed it, go see a doctor about your head trauma and get well soon. All right, I got to hit it. It's finally Friday, and there is a white men wearing cornrows convention in town that I want to check out this weekend. But I do have one more thing for you. Did you know studies show the children of strict parents tend to be sneakier than the kids of lesser strict parents? Would you buy that one?
The one thing I can say about you is you're not sneaky.
Wow. You finally have something nice to say about me.
But you are freaky deaky.
Okay, that's it. You're on mute for the rest of the weekend. God, I thought you were going to be nice for a change. All right, welcome to Rat Nation. And by the way, starting now, I'm going to resist the resistance. If you're not a member of Rat Nation, no shout out for you. All right, Simon Paul, Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Alan Berkowitz in Yonkers, New York, Serena Getty in Lubbock, Texas, and Lance DiMarzio of Costa Mesa, California, and around the world in Bucharest, Romania, Fortaleza, Brazil, and to our friends in Montreal, Canada.
Now's your chance to be one of the few and the loud. Join Rat Nation at ratsasspodcast.com. Membership does have its rewards, you know.
All right, that's it for this episode of the Rat's Ass Podcast. Go check out ratsasspodcast.com to get the entire Rat's Ass Podcast experience. You can listen to the podcasts, rock out on Rat's Ass Rock TV, read the blog that's loaded with hot topicality. Plus, you can still join Rat Nation without having to qualify and connect with us on the socials. We'll do this again on Monday, September the 22nd. Take care. And thanks for dropping by the Rat's Ass Podcast. Go have a fantastic weekend.
The conversation continues between podcasts on X and ratsasspodcast.com. ratsasspodcast.com.
Secretary Buttigieg's